Everyone, how are you? So, we're going to be talking about a new topic. You guys were already introduced to it this week, and it is statistics, one of my favorite topics. And we're going to be looking at the measures of central tendencies. What does that mean? So, what if I told you that Instagram actually uses some sort of statistics to figure out how long you've been on Instagram, how long you've been scrolling through Instagram? Take a look at this. Cool, right? So the video we just saw, it is actually a timestamp on Instagram. You could view this on your side too. Um, it basically tells you within a time span of 7 days how long do you spend on Instagram each day. So if you looked at the video, if you when you watched it, it went to Thursday, it was 8 minutes. Friday was 15. Saturday was 10. Sunday, I don't know what I was doing. Obviously, I was bored. 50 minutes. Monday was 10 minutes. Tuesday was 6 minutes. And today, which is Wednesday, was 6 minutes as well. But if you look up here, that 15 and that's 15 minutes. So that's the daily average time you spent per day using Instagram app on this device in the last week. So remember, week within the time span of 7 days. Well, how did they get this 15? By using all of these numbers down here, and they use this keyword average. Well, let's look at what average is exactly. So I'm going to go over here, and the numbers that they put up was 8. On Thursday was 8. Friday was 15. Saturday was 10 minutes. Sunday was 50 minutes. Like I said, I don't know what I was doing. Monday was 10 minutes. Tuesday was 6 minutes. And today, Wednesday, was 6 minutes as well. So when we're trying to find the average of something, what we want to do, we want to look at all of our data, okay? This is in a time span of 7 days. Each day we went on Instagram for a certain number of minutes. We want to find the average. When we say average, we want to find the center point of it. Around where would all of this number be? All right, just around. So all of this number, because we don't want to look at this, all of that number. We don't. This is a lot of data. So when we're looking for average or mean, we're actually looking for the center point. The center point, okay? Where would all of these numbers be around? Okay? So let's do this. First thing, when we want to find average or mean, you want to add all your data points, all your data, and then divide. All right, so let's do this real quick. If I add this all up, I'm going to do some of it in my head real quick. You guys are going to see how quick I'm going to do this. Here I have 50. 50 plus 10 is 60. Plus another 10 is 70. All right. Plus 15 is 85. 85. Now this 6 plus 6 is 12. So this is 85 plus 12. 85 plus 12 will give me 97, right? Plus this 8 over here will give me 105. So I added up all of my data, and then now the second part is to divide. So I'm going to divide my data. I'm going to divide this 105 by the number of data points that we've collected, or the app collected. So the number of days that this is have gone stretched by. So the app has collected a week. A week is 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 105, divide that by 7. And it will give me, whoo, look at that, 15. That's how Instagram got 15 minutes. This 15 minutes is telling me that every day I will spend about 15 minutes on Instagram. Now, looking at this, you'll be like, oh, wait a second, Miss Talisma. Sunday, you spent 50. Yes, which is why we're going to look more into this next week. Sometimes finding the average of the data or data is not the best tool because there's two others, median and mode. Okay. Measure of central tendency. So over here, what does that mean? Measure of central tendency provides a very convenient way of describing data or data with a single number. So it's the center of that data. Okay, there are 3 commonly used measures of central tendencies: mean or the average, median, and mode. So today we're going to strictly focus on the mean. You guys watched a video, that Toad video, I thought that was pretty cool, where they were talking about the mean, median, and mode. Okay, so but today we're going to look at average and average or mean. Let's look at this. Let's say you are looking to draft a running back for your fantasy football league and they give you the game logs. That's supposed to be logs. They give you the game logs for rushing yards. In this case, the data set is for a player you're thinking about drafting over a previous 16 game season. What is his average rushing yard per game? So there's that word average again, all right? Average is mean. You're trying to find the mean. Another word for mean is average. So another cool thing about statistics is dealing with a lot of data or data. When I say a lot of data or data, is dealing with a lot of numbers. You see all of this numbers over here? If it was all spread out and I told you to give a location of the numbers, you'll be like, wow, that's a lot of numbers I'm looking at. Which is why we look at measures of central tendency. So we are looking at the center of the number. And with the center of the number, we're talking about mean, median, mode, range, standard deviation. All of those is really just looking at, hey, what is the center? Where does all the numbers gravitate towards? Like, what's the actual center? Okay, that's what we're looking at. So we know that it's in a 16 game season. So over here, what we need to do first is add and then divide. Okay, so we're going to be adding up all of our rushing yards per game. And to speed this up a little bit, I'm going to put it on my calculator. So I have 106. Let me write this down. Plus 28 plus 82 plus 44 plus 48 plus 130 plus 43 plus 38 plus 67 plus 142 plus 101. Oh, let me fix that. Plus 125 plus 170 plus 31 plus 43. Okay? When I add all of those up, I think I have all of them. When I add all of those up, it becomes, I'm doing it right now, 1,307. All right? There's a second step. Once you add up all of your data point, once you add them all up, you are then going to divide. So in order to find the average or mean of something, you need to add and then divide. So then you're going to add it up. It becomes 1,307. And then I'm going to divide it by the number of data that was collected. And it tells me right here, 16, all of this is from a 16 game season. Okay, so all this rushing yard per game, it's out of 16 games. I'm just gonna double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I forgot to add this one. 109. 16. So it becomes 1,307. Now I'm going to divide that by 16. And it becomes 81.687. And I'm going to round it to the nearest. Round it to the nearest tenths. So 81.7. This tells me, so this is the average. This tells me that on average, this player, okay, this player does about 81.7 rushing yards per game on average. Once again, it may be a little bit higher, and then there's some days where you're just like, what are you doing? For example, if you're looking at this day over here, 38, what was he doing? 28, what was he doing? Okay, so once again, that's why sports analysis, people who actually look into sports, when you're trying to find the MVP, the most valuable player for football, they really don't look at the average, because you have numbers that kind of skew the data. And when I say skew, I'm talking about like kind of messes up a little bit. So you have numbers that just does not represent the data correctly. But for now, once again, we're going to be looking at average. So once again, to find average, 2 operations: add all of your data and then divide it by the number of data. Last one. In college, and I'm going to deal with strictly in college, they talk about grade point average. High school talks about grade point average, but I'm going to focus more on college. Grade point average really matters, especially if you want to go to if you want to be admitted into the major course that you want to do. For example, my college, Kutztown University, I needed a 3.0 in order to be accepted into the program. There's, if you want to do business, there's a certain grade point average you need. Okay. Now, if I look over here, this is for Rutgers. They tell us over here what the grade point what is a numerical, and then the grades, what they equivalent. So if you look over here, an A is a 4.0, 4.0. B plus is a 3.5. B is a 3.0. So when I said I needed 3.0, I needed to be a B average student. Okay? and so forth and so forth. If you look at F, that means failure. That's nothing. You get no credits because you failed it. And that actually hurts. So let's look over here. In college, you can take about 4 or 5 classes, and it kind of goes towards credit earn. So for this, I'm going to actually just put 1. All right. So over here, we have English, and we're going to play around with this because if you remember when we were actually in class and I talked about finding your average for a class, you can play with this. And I told you that I also played with this when I was in school, in college. So for English, let's say, I got a B plus in English. Spanish, C, satisfactory. Algebra 1, oh, that's an A. Yes, that is an A. World history 1, that's an A. Biology 1, that's a B. Okay? So that's what my grade looks like right now. But like I said, in college, they really look at the grade point average. They look at the GPA. So we need to figure out what is the GPA. That's the cool thing. All right. So B plus, if you look at this chart over here, B plus is a 3.5. So that's what I'm going to do. 3.5. A C is a 2.0. An A is a 4.0. Another A is a 4.0. And a B is a 3.0. All right. Credits earned is the same as saying how many classes I took. It's a little bit more. Ask your parents. It's a little bit more than that. But for this purpose, it's just going to be how many classes I took. If you look at this, I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 classes total, right? And then the grade points, I'm going to total it up. 3.5 plus 2.0 plus 4.0 plus 4.0 plus 3.0. That becomes 48. No, it doesn't. Hold up. I done messed up. Oops, sorry. Let's try this again. 3.5 plus 2.0 plus 4.0 plus 4.0 plus 3.0. That becomes, there we go, much better, 16.5. Okay? So what did I just do? I added up my grade points. I added up my grade points. That was the first thing. My second step, because remember, you're trying to find average. That's what you're trying to find. Average. We know that there are 2 steps for average. Add and then divide. So I added up my grade points. Okay? Now I'm going to divide it by the number of classes I took. So I added. Now the second thing I'm going to do is divide it by the number of classes I took. Let me try to. There we go. Ribbon. There we go. So I'm going to do 16. Oh, no. Oh, there we go. That works here. 16.5 divided by the number of classes I took, which is 5 classes. And that will give me what? 3.3. What does this 3.3 tell me? What's my grade point average for the end of the semester of 3.3? I am somewhere in between a B plus and a B student. So I am in the B range of a student, okay? That's my grade point average, all right? So once again, we're going to be focusing straight up on average. 2 steps for average, add and then divide. Add up all of your data points, add them all up, and then divide it by the number of data, okay? The number for this one was the number of classes. This one was the number of the number of games. And this example was the number of days. All right?